All right, welcome back to Cubes tonight. We pretty much covered through four different topics, so this is pretty much the last one. You'll see me in this Jordan shirt I'm rocking, but we pretty much covered a lot of things. I've covered my story. I've covered the Lakers. I covered the finals. Covered the coaching. And there's one more thing I do want to address. Like I said, we'll keep having content rolling out, getting better with it every single day, to where I can just keep talking basketball. But the last thing I just want to talk about today, wise, on this Friday, June 2nd, day after game one of the finals, is kind of want to talk a little bit about kind of this copycat league we're seeing, and this kind of changes a little bit on the Celtics. This kind of like a little bit of the Celtics involved, a little bit of Rockets involved. 2018 Rockets Golden State. It's just kind of talking about like the whole thing is just copycat league because it's just kind of getting ridiculous. And really watching Boston, that's what really wanted me to make this video because it's just ridiculous. At the end of the day, what this is getting to. So, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tune in on YouTube. Like I said, we'll have clips on TikTok and Instagram and all that coming shortly the best way I can. So we got 5 episodes, so we're getting better every episode talking and doing this. And like I said, I enjoy doing this. I want to make this a livelihood, just talking hoops and even talking with people about these things is something I want to do. So let's get into kind of what I mean by copycat league. So, the thing, like if you run a play, like think about just like if you think about with games like 2K for example, like the main thing you see on 2K is pick and roll. Like in Mad, you have the spam play, the meta as we all call it, the most effective play of or effective people or players in the game. If you see something you like, you copy, and that's all coaches. You know what I'm saying? If you see like Brad Stevens, Steve Kerr had these great ATOs, they take each other. That's nothing wrong with it. What I mean by copycat is when you're literally running this robotic analytical type team and you think you're going to win a championship with that. And it's just, I don't know. And that's really kind of the thing. Like, I'm not a Boston fan. Like, I've never been a Celtics fan. I despise the Celtics because of the Lakers thing, but it's like, I got respect for them. Because the thing I kind of noticed when it became a copycat league is when I kind of went back and did it a little bit like this. So, if you remember when D'Antoni was with Phoenix, and they ran the 7 second less out, which is obviously known as 7 seconds or less. We had Nash, Stoudemire, Marion, Quinn Richardson, Barbosa, Diaw, and all those guys. It was great to see it for the league because the modern evolution of offense was no longer going from close to the basket. It was running through your big to when Jordan came in and made it that a guard can be a team. And then we saw, in the modern 2000s, like the less physicality. It was still the Shaqs, the Duncans, the Rasheed Wallace, and Chauncey Billups and them. Now you kind of saw an offense that was more so favored on fast paced shooting, the modern day running gun, like kind of modern day what Paul West said wanted on it less showtime, but more like with shooting with it. So in a way, it kind of was revolutionary. You had Mike D'Antoni, this great offensive mind, who had the MVP and Steve Nash, a rising young star in Stoudemire, Sean Marion, and he had these shooters. So in his mind, he was thinking, okay, what if we move Stoudemire, who's 6'10", 6'11", to the 5, Marion to the 4, and we put in another shooter here. We optimize floor spacing instead of having that big who can who's just more of a rebounder, but he's not really doing much for our team. So in sacrificing height, we're going small, but we're opening up our offense. So you kind of saw with that. It was just the pick and roll, Stoudemire and Nash, and then if Stoudemire got it, went one-on-one. If Nash went it, you had the Nash dribble, which if you don't know Nash dribble, is basically, where the baseline's at. So let's just say baseline's here, the three-point line's there. If you keep your dribble underneath the paint instead of going, because most time, most people by the paint, they just go up for a layup. Instead of you keep your dribble, that's the Nash dribble. For those that don't know, so you learn basketball. There you go. I'm trying to tell you some things too. So that's where that was. And then you had the shooters. But it worked with them because you had, like I said, you had Quentin Richardson, you had Leandro Barbosa, you had a Boris Diaz. So you had 4 spacers who were top shooters in the league. The problem I had more so with, I noticed it was with Houston. So if you remember 2017, Harden was having an MVP season. And they had the best they had was Eric Gordon, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly, Nene, Clint Capella, like Ryan Anderson. Like it was pretty much Harden and a bunch of solid players. And they got through Thunder, who were basically built the same way, and then they ran to the Spurs, who were well-oiled machine. and it did that. And then Chris Paul free agency was up, and he said, pretty much if you're not competing with the Warriors, then what are you doing? So he goes to Houston. And Houston was basically built like Daryl Morey had in his mind, like, look, this is the boss. This is like a boss on a video game. Like, this is the team that we got to beat. This is the team we got to overcome in Golden State because they just got Kevin Durant and they looked unstoppable because there was nothing you could really do against Golden State because if you double Durant, for example, you got Steph on the left side, Clay on the right, Draymond in the post. He had the big man, whether it be McGee, Pachulia, and then it was even scary if you had Iguodala in because of the athletic and size. It's a line of that they would refer to as a line of a depth. So now you're talking about doubling one, and you're leaving Steph and Clay, and then if you leave Draymond down there, and then Draymond can lob it up to McGee, Iguodala, like there's a counter to freeze their rotation. There's another counter to freeze the rotation. And then there's two freezing rotations because the counter is so special. Because it's just like the Warriors offense is more like the modern day triangle where it's more modern spacing modern space for 3-pointers. And it freezes rotation to the point where the Warriors don't even know what they're going to do. Like, I mean, you're going to shoot and score, but it's like the flow of the game dictates truly what's going on. So the Rockets got Paul. Then Daryl Morey built the team where it was now, Harden is point this in per possession isolation because he was at that time the best isolation guy in the game. Because that's all we had known for Harden. And at that point, I'm going to be honest, I kind of had this disdain for Harden until I figured it out. And this is where I had to grow and mature and understand why he was doing it. And I had to hear D'Antoni because at the time D'Antoni was my favorite coach because like he's all offense and no defense. Like, why would you want that as your head coach on the team? Like, it's great, but are you ever going to emphasize defense? Because they know the motto: offense wins games, offense sells tickets, defense wins championship. Like, that's the motto. And like my favorite motto, people that know me, Pat Riley: no rebounds, no goddamn rings. So like, you do have to wonder. So they had a team. It was Harden was at the top of the key. Paul was always either on the left or the right side of the court, like the left wing, left slide, right slide. Tucker and Ariza were always in the corners, and Clint Capella was in the dunker spot. So imagine this. Imagine it's a court. There you have a guy at the top of the key. Like, I'm right here. I got a guy here. Got a guy here. You got a guy in the corner. And then this guy's like near the rim, but in a dunker spot. So now all we're going to do is Harden's going to dribble 1-2 between. If the guy's foot is inside the arc, inside the 3-point line, then he's going to step back. If the guy is playing him tight, he's just going to blow by him because Harden's just strong and faster. And if that defender, the weak side defender, that big, so let's just say it's Harden and let's just use Cleveland. Let's just say LeBron. No, let's just say Kyrie's guarding Harden. Yeah, let's just say Kyrie. Kyrie's guarding Harden. And he blow past Kyrie like nothing. Then let's just say Kevin Love's there. Love is now playing both Harden and Capella. So if he shows and he's ready to contest Harden, then there's Capella. And if he's focused on more Capella, then Harden's got a layup, a dunk, or a floater. And then if let's just say like Shumpert's in that corner and he leaves Tucker, there's a Tucker 3. Let's just say that rotation. J.R. Smith swines over there. There's Paul. There's Eric Gordon, for example. And then it swings back, keeps moving the ball. It's like, in a way, it's robotic. And I don't like that because it's kind of like if you play 2K, you have the 5 out. Like the Bucks 2018 free example, they're like 5 out. But what it is like, again, it's saying like if you watch 2K or you play 2K, it's like you have a 5 out. You have a guy at the top of the key who your offense is so dependent upon. Then everybody else is just shooters. So imagine if you're playing rec or you're playing pickup and you're playing with this guy that's just all isolation. Let's just say the guy, it's 24 seconds of shot clock. We're just not even going to use like pickup. We'll just say like we're playing a recreation game. It's 24 seconds of shot clock. That guy wastes 14 seconds to just size his opponent up. It gets to 10. The ball, he hasn't gotten anywhere because that guy defending him was like Kawhi type defender, Iguodala type defender. So now he tries to drive past him and he throws you the ball in the corner with 5 seconds left. So you're tightly guarded. You're not expecting the ball. So by the time you get to 5, you get the ball. 4, 3, 2, well, you got to throw something up. So now your rhythm, your flow, everything is off. And you might not even get the ball again because of that type of play. But is that on you? No, it's on your star. I think I was listening to the TikTok on the ring, and Austin Rivers was kind of talking about a little bit of like what a role, like the problem that people try to always misconstrue with role players is that role players have a harder job than what you think because you have to think about it psychologically. Like for me, I was a shooter, so for me, my go-to in middle school was we had a play. It's kind of basically modern day. It's like floppy, where our ball handler was here in the right slot. I was in the corner. My big man would set a screen. I'm running off his screen. The other big is setting the screen, and I'm coming here to get to the wing because I was always grabbing the wing because I was always great where I have my body here, turn here, grab it, and I'm in motion. It's not right where I'm coming wide. It's like I'm coming straight in the line and I'm ripping the shot here. It's the kind of saying like imagine that. But imagine if I call floppy that whole play, he's just sitting there isoing the whole time, and it's 5 seconds left, and I'm right there ready to shoot. And he gives me the ball with 1 second left. My whole rhythm, rotation, body is thrown off because you got to remember basketball is a game of flow, rhythm, patterns, and all that. It's different from pickup because now you in the NBA, you just see pickup. You just see guys getting the ball, holding it for like 10 seconds just to do 1, 2, their combos, and then dump it off to the role player. So like that role player's mind mentally is gone because you chose to play hero ball and be, hot sauce for one time, and then you mad at me because I missed shot. Well, you're throwing me the ball with 1 second left, and I'm tightly guarded. I'm ready to shoot when I'm coming off the screen. And it's one thing if they top block it where I'm coming off the screen and then the guy defending me and then they communicate like, okay, you switch here, you blocking it, and then I go, that's different. But no, you just messed everything up. To me, that's robotic. And that's how I felt about the Rockets. Not at the time, but that's how I felt, and I'm gonna get to it. That's how I felt. So when they played Golden State, I always wondered why they in the regular season they were so successful against. But it's like, but then I realized like regular season you're playing on these teams, you don't really have time to scout it. So I think like Houston beat them like 2, 3 times, 4, 3, 4 million they had most time the season. I think as a playoffs, it was like game 1. Golden State was trying to really run their offense. They couldn't do nothing. Like Steph was off, Clay was off, they all off. Durant just said, you know what? Screw it. Give me the ball, one-on-one isolation. I can score on Mbamute, I can score on Tucker, I can score on Reza. They ain't sure score on Paul. I can score on Capella, I can score on like no matter who you throw on me, they can't guard me. Just let me 1-4 flat, ISO, and the elbow, the high post. I got it. And he basically did that. And then everybody else contributed. And then game 2, they responded. But every game they were just shooting like 20, 30 threes. And then you get to game 6, Paul is out. And you need Harden and them to, carry the load. Couldn't do it. Then you get to game 7. They shot like 30-some threes. That was probably the one game I'm looking like you're relying on 3-pointers instead of getting to the paint like you were. Like every game they won, they were doing a mix of everything. When you went to game 7, every game you lost because you couldn't score because you so heavily on threes. That was robotic to me. You just kept relying on threes. And then they missed so many threes because by the time you're in a 7-game series, your body's worn down physically and mentally. Because it's not like the Warriors are standstill people. They're moving all the time. So their motion offense, moving sporadically and efficiently, beats your 1-2 straight line, drive, kick, move the ball. Because we're just playing hot potato at that point. It's basically like when a coach tells you move the ball around 4 times. With the Warriors, they're effectively moving the ball because, let's say, for instance, Draymond Green's in the post. And you do the split action where Draymond's in the post, Iguodala setting the screen for Curry. Curry rolls to the basket. He freezes that weak side defender rotation. He going to help Durant's in the corner. Mbamute goes to pick up. He throws to Clay. Clay throws it back to Iguodala, top of the key. Steph's relocating. Draymond sets him the screen and bang. Steph gets to roll to Draymond, and then Draymond finds Thompson. It was basically like the play 2019 in a way is what I'm kind of getting to game 6 where Durant wasn't playing and they had that play where Steph threw the ball, Draymond had Iguodala, and then Clay had the last shot. It's like that. That's efficiently moving the ball. Whereas with the Rockets, you're driving here, and then with nothing. And then nobody's moving. It's just everybody sitting in the spot. At least with the Warriors, they're sliding down to the slot, low corner, baseline. ready for the play and hands ready. This group you don't really, know. And that's what Boston became to me when I watched Boston. Because the thing about Boston this season was I noticed when it came to every series they played. When they played Atlanta, I was thinking, okay, they can beat Atlanta in 5 because Atlanta's going to get one because it's just how it is. Some series you just know teams going to get one. When it got to that game 5 and then Trae Young hit that shot, I was like, this is going to be their downfall. They don't pick this up. Then they played Philly. Philly took the first game because they kept doing it. I was thinking like, you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You have a 6'9" forward. You have a 6'7", 6'8" small forward. These are two guys that physically should be killing these teams' pain because it's not like, it's not like back in the day where you had the two bigs that stopping Shaq. You don't have the Kevin Willis and the Moses Malone or the Hakeem and Ralph or the Tim Duncan, David Robinson. You have PJ Tucker, who's 6'5", as your backup line of defense. You have Jared Vanderbilt as your back line of defense. You have Caleb Martin as your backup of defense. You have Draymond Green. And Draymond Green is a great defender, but again, if you're 7 foot and he's 6'7", 6'6", doesn't mean anything. The best he can get is a strip and maybe a hard foul or just lucky enough not to get a call. But, realistically, it's like, really? So then they got to Miami. And I was thinking like, and I remember telling my dad because he's a Celtics fan. I told him, I'm still gonna go with Boston because Boston was my pick from the beginning of the season in the East. I just felt like they were the complete team. I felt like they learned from last year. But then the Udoka thing happened, and I felt like even with Joe Mazzulla, they're still good. And then they had their moments where they opened up. I'm like, every team has that. I think they'll figure it out. And they're just talented. You have those two guys, and everybody else is great role players and pieces. And then Malcolm Brogdon was so great. I wish the Lakers would have got him, but he was great for him. So I was game 1, and I kept seeing Boston do the same thing. So I was like, and then Miami won. I was like, yep, Miami might just win this. Game 2, Miami won. When they won 3, I was like, it was over with. But then Boston won, 4, 5, and then 6. And then when 6 happened, I was like, they're not winning this. Then Derek White just, lucky tip in happened. But then I knew in that moment, I looked at Spoelstra's eyes, I looked at Jimmy Butler's eyes, and looked at there. I was like, they know they're going to win Game 7. Because they know that their strategy that Boston has not changed. So every adjustment that they're going to make is on pinpoint. And then Game 7 happened. Jaylen Brown had 2 free throws and 8 turnovers. Tatum, yeah, you can excuse his foot, but at the same time, it was like he didn't do much. And then they just all did the same thing. Whereas Miami, Jimmy Butler's going downhill, putting pressure deep into the paint. To where it's like the thing about Boston is when they drive, it's like the Harden thing. Like I said, Harden, 1, 2, between the leg, he blow past you, and then the moment he's by the free throw line, he's passed you the ball. With Butler and Bam, they're so deep into the paint where it's like they're underneath the basket that where the help is so tightly congested that if you go back to game 1 of the box where Jokic had to play where Butler was guarding him, I think Highsmith was doubling, and he was able to turn his head and he did like, and Michael Porter right in his shooting pocket, right in his pocket where he wants it to be, sidestep, pump fake, jumper, good. That's the difference. I don't understand why you want an offense that's so analytical because that's robotic to me. That's basically putting 4 AIs. Like, just imagine you play 2K, and let's just say you're my players of 99, and you're just good one-on-one. That's like, at that point, it's like having 4 shooters. It's like what the Bucks were also doing before they got Jrue Holiday. When you had Giannis as the ball handler at the top of the key. Middleton was here. Bledsoe was here. Brook and the power forward. No, excuse me, Brogdon was there when they had Brogdon. So Middleton was in the corner. Like Chris Middleton couldn't grow his game until Mike Budenholzer had to tell you, until they had to really be honest and say, look, you're a scorer. You can score. We're limiting your game because we're making you become this catch and shoot. We're making you Klay Thompson when you're supposed to be, in a way, Paul Pierce. And I'm just throwing a name. I'm not saying his game is compared to Paul Pierce, but just in a way. Because in our way, Giannis is Shaq. Chris Middleton's our Kobe. Again, not comparing it to just the roles. Eric Bledsoe, who's great tacking downhill, now becomes a spot-up guy. It's just like the Lakers with Russell Westbrook. Like, well, LeBron's great attacking downhill. Now Russell Westbrook becomes the spot-up. He's not used to that. With the Clippers, He's the main ball handler. Kawhi and Paul George can play off of that. That's his best role. That's just how reality is. When you have a non-shooting guard who's a slasher, it's just like Derrick Rose. Why would you turn Derrick Rose into a floor spacer? He's not that. Let him be efficient in what he can do the most. Put pressure on the rim. That's the same, same thing here. So that I just didn't understand. And that's same with the Bucks. Like until and then when the Bucks got Drew, and then allowed Drew and Chris to run the show, and then Giannis was more of a screener and less, and just taking it more when the rebound happened down the court. I was like, okay. But at some point, their offense became stagnant because it was the same thing. It was just more motion, but it's not efficient cuts. It's like we're teaching. Like the easiest thing to do in basketball is shoot the three because all kids want to do it, and everybody can equate that to, of course, Steph Curry. But it's like, I mean, we're not, here in America, we're not teaching kids fundamentals anymore. We're more teaching them how to be athletic, how to do combo this and that. In Europe, they're learning every freaking thing. So that's why the Lukas, the Jokic and Embiid, the Siakams, they have so much from the all-around game better equipped that when they get here, it's easy for them to score. The only thing they just got to learn is just how to defend the athletic guys and, a little tip and trick, which is simple to them. That's why they end up doing well. It's like, that's how I kind of played in Kobe's advantage when he was, over in Italy learning the fundamentals. Like, that's how great a player can become when you add in the fundamentals. Like, you take Michael Jordan, for example. Like, Michael was great because he had God-gifted Superman, athleticism, big hands, and he could jump out the gym. When he added to Larry Bird, the angles, the post game, coming off the screen, being effective different ways, that's when he became the greatest player. Like Kenny Smith said it on Draymond Green's podcast, that Michael Jordan's greatest weaknesses, he turned into his greatest strength. That was the greatest thing about him. One of the greatest things about him. So that's how it, that's how it turned out to be. Like, I think it's dumb because it's basically turning players into robots. When I noticed it became this is when the bubble happened. Is when Houston got rid of Paul. And the reason they got rid of Paul is because Chris Paul had got to the point where he was tired of Harden having to do everything. And it got to the point where it was all hard and they weren't adding in sets. It was just analytics. And then you saw the confrontation, like the one that went viral, like with Harden and Paul getting into it. And then I think things like DJ Music guy made a comment like, just play defense. Man, get that out of my face. I'm talking about some defense. I just drive the hole. I'm Jay Hard. Flopping his defense like that. It was like he needed a guy who could score but and play off of him. And Paul just went in because Paul was great being your number two, but it's like Paul wants to still handle the ball. Like him and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant is better. Or him with the Clippers is better than with him and Harden because Harden's so ball dominant. Harden's not really an off the ball guy. And that's the thing I had with Harden. Like I like what he did when he first got to Houston because he was coming off of screens, pin downs. He was even playing in the post with his side because, he's 6'5" and he's strong. He's like, you have those big guards that are like the Baron Davis, Darren Williams that can kill you with speed and strength. He wasn't doing it. And I just felt like his game was repetitive. But then when I sat down and I was like, repetition, it was like, if nobody can stop it, why would you change it? I had to be honest with myself. And I was like, that's why I kind of did appreciate him more, after Houston. So you get to the bubble, and I remember the Lakers were playing them, and they just got second round. Game one happened, and Vogel chose to stick with, what was it? LeBron, KCP, Danny Green, AD, and JaVale versus their lineup when they had Russ, Harden, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and Robert Covington. Because if you remember beginning of the season, they traded for Russ. And then D'Antoni and them noticed that with Russ Lane and the paint was getting cut off because of Clint Capella. It was similar to, in a way, let me see how I can compare this. I want you to think with Shaq, when Shaq, Kobe, and the Lakers 03-04, when they had Payton and Malone. The reason you have to understand basketball is fit, spacing. When you have four guys that all operate in the same area, it's hard to win games and even a championship. Shaq is dominant in the post. Karl Malone's on the opposite side. Gary Payton's dominant in the mid post. Kobe Bryant's on the field. That's four guys. It becomes a triangle to becoming more of a square. That's what it became. And all Detroit did was force the Lakers to come up higher and force Shaq to move his body to catch where his catch from down here in the post, like in the low post, and Ben Wallace is behind him or trying to front him, to now Shaq's at the top, like, middle of the top elbow trying to catch him. That's what it was. I want you to think when, for example, when Steve Nash won those 2 back-to-back MVPs, what was it? 04, 05, and then 5-6. Then the Suns end up trading for Shaq. I think they end up trading Sean Marion, if I believe. And then now you have Stoudemire and Shaq. So now where Stoudemire is dominating the pick and roll, Shaq is clogging that lane. So now Nash's MVP numbers look pedestrian, and he's not an all-star. Because now it's like, what happened to the great Steve Nash? Well, Stoudemire is great in the paint, and it's not like he's think of a guy, Kevin Love, for example, where he's shooting 15-foot jumper, or Tim Duncan. Like, Kevin Garnett's a better fit next to Shaq than Omar Stoudemire, because Omar Stoudemire dominates on the low post and then in the pick and roll. That's not Shaq in the pick and roll. Shaq is best in the low post barbecue chicken. Think the Lakers in 2012-13 when they end up getting Nash and Howard. We had Nash, Kobe, Metta World Peace, Powell, and Dwight. Dwight and Powell operate in the same area. Metta fits perfectly because it's just ability to be a 3-and-D, and Nash is a playmaker, and Kobe Bryant. But now, Kobe's here, Dwight's here, Powell's here, Metta's probably there, and Nash is like, the spacing is tight, not able to operate. And that's how it was with Russ. That's why they realized getting rid of Capella was the only solution. They're going to make Russ Westbrook work. So we take out Russ, and now we have Robert Covington, a 3-and-D, as our big. PJ Tucker as our big. Russell at the top of the key, Harden here, Gordon here, Tucker and Covington there, straight downhill. HB dive. Genius. Like, nobody can stop Russell Westbrook downhill except Frank Vogel, who, after game 1, decided to put Anthony Davis on Russell Westbrook and dare Russell Westbrook to make jumpers. And at the time, Russell was dealing with an injury, and he wasn't 100%. And he couldn't shoot for a thing. Because now, Russell, HB dive, I can't sonic this, supersonic this. I can't downhill this anymore. Now it's, I'm stopping to have court. Now they're daring me to shoot. I gotta get in my rhythm. Just throw the ball up. Like, it's not Russell Westbrook's game. Russell Westbrook is great when he come down, because you always, when he does his pull-ups, when he did his pull-ups in Oklahoma City, it was always at 100 miles an hour. 1-2, pull up on the backboard. Now it goes from to wait a minute. Okay, I got all this room. LeBron is kind of, soft hedging me a little bit, not playing me all the way. And they playing, okay, gonna dare me to shoot. So now I gotta shoot, and then wasn't making it. And then they didn't adjust. They kept doing the same thing, hoping the Rockets, not the Lakers, they play right into the Lakers' hand. They kept doing the same thing, and then they got beat in 5. So then it became more so. Now they tried hard and Wall and that, and it's like, at that point it was over with. But then I noticed when the copycat type of thing could work, but in a different way than Golden State, it was Brooklyn. So at the time when, and that's had Irvin and Durant, this is when Durant just got back off the kills and he was looking great. And then Dinwiddie went down, they were losing game. Harden was available. I think Harden made it public he wanted out and he wanted to go to Brooklyn. Then they traded him to Brooklyn. So at that point, I was like, how is this going to work? Then I noticed Mike D'Antoni's on the bench as assistant behind Steve Nash. They're probably going to do what they used to do. And they did. And the way it worked was Harden was at the top of the key. Kyrie's on the left wing. Durant's in the elbow area. Joe Harris in the corner. Jeff Green's in the corner. The difference now is, instead of having one isolated scorer, a pure point who's great, his assist turnover ratio makes him impossible not to play, and then 3 shooters, we're going to have great ISO player, with and without the ball. Great ISO player with and without the ball. Station shooter, movement shooter. Now we're hard to guard, because now if, like, when they play Boston. So let's say, for instance, Marcus Smart's on Harden, Brown's on Irvin, Tatum's on Durant. Trying to think they're big. Daniel Theis, think at the time was their big. Like that. So now we're talking about if Harden beats them, you're not leaving Durant or Irvin. You can leave Green, maybe leave Harris, but now we're to the point where Durant gets the ball, he can go one-on-one. Irving gets the ball. So now we go from scoring with Paul maybe 90 to 100 by the third quarter to 120, where those three can combine for about 134 points. So now it's looking like we're not gonna stop you defensively. We're just gonna outshoot you. It's like we're basically in pickup and we're saying, hey, we got the 5 best shooters on the floor at every position. We're gonna shoot threes, nothing but threes. And then we get layups and middies, we take them. And we're gonna basically outscore you. We're gonna beat you so badly that we're gonna run and gun you to the point where you're just exhausted because you can't guard us. Like, just imagine if you go to pickup and your team's balling, you're beating everybody, and then you just notice these 3 guys ISO. You got a 6'10" guy who can ISO, you got a 6'5" guy who can ISO, and then you got a 6'2", 6'3" guy that can ISO. And they're efficient with it because Harden can operate the top of the key and Kyrie can play off him because he can spot up and he doesn't get in his way. Same with Durant. They all don't get in each other's way, unlike with the Rockets the first time where everybody was kind of in the way and they were just stationary guys. So now we got guys who can take it off the dribble and do something. And the crazy part, it almost worked until Harden hamstring gave out and until Irvin unfortunately went down. And then that KD foot away. Because they could have really won the championship just off of that. That's what I was like, this is really a copycat league. But that was an efficient way to do it just without, doing it like the Warriors. Because the thing about it is the Warriors made everybody change accidentally. Because what they did, everybody thought they do. Because they have the 3 greatest shooters of all time, everybody thought that if we get guys who can shoot the ball close to their percentages, we can beat them. Newsflash, you're not beating the 3 greatest shooters. That's like putting Mark Price, Ray Allen, and Dirk Nowitzki on the same team versus decent above average shooters. If them 3 are on, their 3 are going to kill your 3. And at that point, you're playing that team like that. You're fighting the scoreboard more so than you are fighting, to stay in the game. It's like, it's crazy because once that ball goes to the hoop anytime, that defense is locked in. We're locked in. So that's when I was like, man, this has really become a copycat league. And I was really hoping the teams would stop doing it. And analytics has to play because the thing I hate about analytics, like it has its good and its bad. Like, if you use analytics to say, like, how many points we score in the paint per possession, great. How many turnovers we create, great. Assists, turnover ratio, great. But I remember, like, one of my friends, he ended up bringing up dumb mess where he was talking about Luka has a 3.0 free throw ratio. I'm like, let me ask you this. If I were to go to the locker room and it's game 7, let's just say the Cleveland Golden State series, we're down 3-1. And I go tell LeBron that you have a 3.0 ratio with the 3-point or the free throw. What do you think LeBron would do to me? LeBron probably want to slap the crap out of me. Or he'd probably telling me, like, are you okay? Is this the pressure getting to you? Like, who says that? That makes no literal sense. Like, imagine you tell a young kid, based on the stats I give you, like on a recruiting video, based on the stats I give you, you're to have a 3-to-1 ratio on 3-pointers. That guy, even if that kid even knows analytics, they're going to be like, what does that mean? Because analytics can determine heart, analytics can determine effort, the gorilla dog mentality. Stats only tell you so. That's why when I tell people, when you watch the game, don't tell me numbers. Break down that person's game. Are they a rhythm player? Do they do the same move? Or can they combo so many things? There's a difference between, like, 3-level scorers is overrated thing to say. Or the pure hooper. There's like 6 to, like, maximum levels of this. The thing about certain players, if we were to scale criteria players on straight on skill, offensive bag, like Durant would probably be one of the high ones on that list. Kyrie would be higher one than this than LeBron Young, because no matter what defender you throw in, you can throw Kawhi Leonard on Durant, he has a move for him. You can throw Trevor Ariza on Durant, he has a move. You can throw Giannis on Durant, he has a bag and skill set for them. He has a different skill set. It's just like this Bruce Lee quote I remember hearing, where he said, "I fear a man. I don't fear a man who practiced 100 different kicks many times, multiple times. I fear the man who's practiced that one simple kick, like it could be a simple, that 1,000 times, because the repetition in it. Like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant officially trained to the point where everything he can do is a quick study, and it was to the point where I could practice this 1-2 pull up or jab, 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 jumper to the point where no matter who you throw into, I mean, the thing about any move you do, if you just play basketball, anything you do, you never know how effective these moves can be until you do it in front of a live defense. And now I'm not talking about your little brothers, your little sisters, or these 5'3" trainers. Do it against somebody that try these moves against somebody that can challenge you. Like a lot of times with kids, they're just copycatting because we try to, like, with trainers, like we try to teach these kids these certain moves. Like, the thing about basketball is creativity. Like Kyrie Irving had this thing that's on 2K18. Like, basketball is not a game; it's an art form, and it is. It's just like with the beat of a drum when you make art. When you start getting the thing, or getting the whatever thing art you draw with, and then just one or something, and just draws, like, it comes to you. Some people like when I write and I'm writing, the words and the thoughts and emotions to tell the story are coming through in my head as I'm writing. That's not everybody. Some people learn visually, some people learn a different way, but it's like, I'm not gonna tell a kid, like, I'm not gonna tell my brother who played that, like, this is what you need to do. When you get here, you're gonna no. You try a move out against this defender, and then when you look at the move, tell me why it worked and why it didn't work. So you try to 1-2 cross. So you try like a Grand Hill cross. You can get that off against somebody that is not a good defender. Against Kawhi Leonard, he's gonna swipe that every time. So with Kawhi Leonard, I want to create separation to the point where I know against Kawhi Leonard what I can and can't get off of. Like, I think, and because we are getting to 40 minutes, I'm going to kind of wrap this up real quick. Like, it's one thing I do appreciate about, like, I remember watching Gilbert Arenas, No Chill. This before the whole Gibbs Arena is when he was in the gym. I think it was at Kobe Bryant's gym, where he came. It basically comes down to either that guy has foot speed, he's strong, or he's one of the bigs. It comes down to those things. As a defensive player, we always are studying. Like me, when I played against people, I pick up on tendencies. So what tendencies is when somebody does a certain thing, like, it's like the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, can't get fooled again, like the J. Cole song. So if I, like on 2K, if I notice someone doing the same thing twice on multiple possessions, I pick up on it. So that way, by 3, 4, 5 possessions, I know what you're going to do the entire game if you do the same thing. It's one thing if you switch it up every other time, or if it's just me making mistakes. But I figure up on tendencies, rhythm, pattern, because there are players, when you look at their film long enough, you can tell what they need to fix on. Because you don't notice the little things. Like, if you notice with Blake Griffin, when he would post up, he had a lot of trouble with his post ups back then. And it was a really big deal when they played the Spurs in Game 7. Tim Duncan had 6 fouls. And he told Pop, no, I'm good. You know why? Because he knew that Blake Griffin wasn't good posting up. Griffin just didn't know how to post effectively well. And it's one of those habits, like, not everybody learns the fundamentals. If you know the fundamentals, then it's so easy to get. Tim Duncan would have been out the game. Tim Duncan stayed in the game. They lose, but it's like that little thing. Like, that's why when people say, like, with Giannis, like, they want him to shoot, I don't care if he doesn't shoot. Like, he would Ben, I don't care. You're 7 foot, 6'11", 250, 240. Get in the post, face up. And even if you have a face-up game like Carmelo Anthony, or you do like Tim Duncan where you're finessing it, you cause so much of a issue of a double team that it's hard to guard you. HB diving like you're Derrick Henry and Madden, or you're Bo Jackson where you're getting everything, is not going to cut it. Because it ain't like you got, stiff arm, or you truck somebody with a bulldozer. Like, you can't do that in basketball. Because the rule, you can easily box and one, and that type of player is one-dimensional. It's easy to guard. It's nothing against Giannis for using his skill, which is brute force. Like, same with Shaq. It's nothing against Shaq for using his skill, which is brute force. But imagine if Shaq had the turnaround game, or even a face-up game like Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, or Dirk. No. Not even the point where Shaq had to shoot 3. Imagine if he just had like Akeem Olajuwon footwork. or the moves as Kakeem did. Shaq would be the greatest of all time. He is. He's still no doubt one of the greatest of all time, but he would be undoubtedly the greatest. He would be in that conversation with Jordan. Be like, forget Jordan. 7'1", 325 with that footwork and that scoring, it's ridiculous. And it's just a copycat league. And at times, it's like, I tell people, I could watch the regular season, like I watch certain games, but it's like all this: get the ball, shoot a three, rebound, lay up, other side. Like, I can't watch that. It's hard to. Like, that's why I like playoff basketball, because now it's like, this is really where you see fatigue sit in, half court offense. Everyone's tired. Jamal Murray's, the Jimmy Butlers, the Kevin Durant's, the Russell Westbrook, Kawhi, like they're having their moment, because when everybody's tired, fatigued, and set, there's nothing defense can do to wear you down. It's methodically thinking. It's like, can you be that hooper that scores? And it's not always just the start. It's like Caleb Martin had his moment in Game 7. It's like there was nothing they could do, and he just did simple moves. And that's what it comes. I'm not saying everybody has to be different, but it's like, if you're a team that, if all 5 teams in the NBA, the top 5 teams are just layup and threes, then you take away the beauty of basketball. It's not even basketball at that point. It's layup lines, and it's layup lines. It's like layup and a three. Like, you don't even see barely any sets get called. You just see pick and roll, find a mismatch, which is great, but you're not even seeing people come off of pick and rolls like to shoot. You barely even see the mid. Like, the mid range is like, it's like the mid range is a jab punch. You don't even see that anymore. It's like people just want to, like, I'm going to end it off here, like with Grayson Allen in that Game 5 when he had the ball and he didn't shoot a three. He just, like, he wanted to, like, shoot the pull up. You're a shooter. Like, if that was Contavious Caldwell-Pope, he's pulling up in that moment. That let me know the difference between he's not a stationary shooter, he's a movement shooter, and then not on that, he's not only shooting a three, he's shooting a midi. You know what I mean? People, anytime I watch game where I can see people have 1-2 pull-ups, or even Chris Paul where they snake their way into it, it's like, you don't even see the mid-range anymore. Like, the Suns are pretty much the only team where you rarely saw, like, the Celtics really made me mad with this. Like, Brown is the only guy really making mid-range. And then Tatum had mid-range moment. It was like, he was so more comfortable into the three. In the three in a way. It's like, dude, you're 6'9". Get in the post. Get to the point where you're like LeBron, Kawhi, and Durant, where you can be in the post, you can draw double teams and make plays out of that. Kawhi Leonard, literally, the first game he became a Clipper, he killed the Lakers, stripped off of 15, 20-foot jumpers. And I think he made it to like maybe 1 or 2 threes that game. Like that. Like, all his points were coming off of pick and roll. Get LeBron on me. Or Danny Green, Danny Green, KCP, or everybody, don't matter. I'm going to back him on the post, turn around, jump, good. That's how it was. We got to stop getting into this age where it's just three and layups. Because it's, for the game, it's not entertaining. It's just pointless. Like, and still incorporate the mid range, still incorporate post. We're not saying we want the Shaqs back in the world where every play they're posting up. No. But if you're a Joel Embiid, if you're a Karl Towns, you do the defense a favor when you're sitting on the perimeter every freaking play and you're not punishing them in the post. If you mix up the attack, it's different. The Nuggets, they mix up their attack. Jokic is not just they can shoot a three, but he's also in the post. He's in the high post, in the low post, mid-high, low action. Curls, all those, like, that's the Nuggets. That's the well-oiled machine. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see. I don't want to sit there and watch a game where it's like when I got with the Rockets, where I told my friend, like, at this point I'm watching a free throw contest. Like, every time Harden touched the ball, it was a foul. It's like, nobody wants to sit there and watch a 3-point contest or a free throw contest. I don't want to watch layup and threes. I want to see dunks. I want to see tough jumpers. I want to see those Jokic, Jamal Murray tough shots made, because it happens. But it's because the defense is making that happen. Not just giving up a three to a Jared Vanderbilt or Aaron Gordon. Like, yeah, you're daring them to shoot, like, kind of like how with the Mitchell Robinson thing with the free throw line, a hacker Ben, a hacker Shaq type thing. But it's like, I just can't with the copycat league. It's just not a thing you want to see. Hopefully it changes. I don't think it will as much, but if the Celtics want to improve, like I said, this video was more meant for them because this kind of how I felt they kind of were. And I probably have a preview of the Celtics coming sometime. But it's like Tatum and Brown have got to get to the point where their skill But it's like attacking the midi. Get to the point where you can post up and get those jumpers like that because you put the defense at your mercy more when you do that than you driving and just driving and kick. Yeah, like just passing the like people have this theory like just passing to the other guys is you're getting the ball. No, I can pass the ball to I can pass the basketball to a guy at a corner store. That don't mean he got faith in me. That don't mean I got faith in him. Like like Michael Jordan had to believe that the triangle was the triangle and it could work. If you remember Game 5, 91, where he telling him who's open, he wouldn't answer. He said who's open. He said Paxson. We'll find him. Paxson made the shot. The last thing shot. Trusting your teammate. You have to do that. Because if it's just a one man offense, one person is not going to beat a team of people. Like this, and this is connected. I mean, one guy can beat these people if they're not connected. Like it's happened, but it's just rare. That's why Boston lost. Like Miami, these guys were so connected that your 1-2 punch in the group you had was so far off and so frustrated. It was like you couldn't get anything off. So, like. And that to me, it also falls as well as like on these organizations that put these coaches because it's not always on coaching. It just falls on like some of these organizations. They get in the habit of like, let's shoot this amount of threes a game. And I remember Earl Watson was on Give It a Rings podcast, finishes out like last few minutes before he gets 50 tomorrow. Like he was saying like, okay, but I'm gonna need you to go. Are you gonna trade me for some shooters? Because like probably other than Devin Booker's the only guy that can do it. So you're asking T.J. Warren, you're asking Brandon Knight, you're asking Eric Bledsoe. You're asking Marcus Moore. You're asking guys that are not really 3-point shooters, but they can make three just because they can make three to do this. Like, let's be for real. Let's be honest. It's not happening. We got to get out this copycat and let's go back to basketball, where it's the three inside the arc from the layups to the dunker spot to the mid post, the curl. Like you don't even see that anymore. It's just pick and roll, find a mismatch, and go off of that. Barely moving of the ball, and if you throw the ball, it's like you throw the ball just to give somebody a bad shot, and then that guy's rhythm and rotation and mindset is just mentally done for. Like to the point where you lost them for the series, and it's just it's just not one of the things you want to see. But we're about to hit the 50-minute mark. We're at 47 minutes, but this has been 5 different topics in a day. And I could have combined all these into one, but it's like I want them to have their own segments where I can just talk about them in their own little statements. But like I said, we're going to continue to get better with each of these. Like I said, I want to be on those shows and talk to different people, hear their opinions on what they think of certain stuff. Just want to talk hoops. I want to talk with the best of them. I want to hear NBA guys. I don't want to just talk to like media. Like media personalities is great too. I want to talk to all of them. Former players, current players, media personalities, people that like me that didn't play, but just are playing catch up to the game. We're students of the game. We're just trying to see what happens and how to get better. So, but that's all I got for you on this another episode of Q Hoop. Make sure you leave a comment, subscribe. Like I said, we'll have shorts and videos and all that coming your way, pretty soon. So that's all I got for you. This has been Q Hoops, and I'm out. See ya.